Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday morning or afternoon. Here, Anthony Alfred here with you for the Smackdown reaction. As we've mentioned last week, starting today and weeks going forward, probably until Thanksgiving, we will have these reacts. I will have these reacts on Saturdays as opposed to late Friday night, just through the scheduling and stuff. So, take a couple Fridays to have some fun and enjoy some things, and then we're back in the swing of football. So, lots to get into. I got things I liked. I got one thing that I really didn't like is more of a confirmation kind of deal. And then there's a couple other things that I didn't like in terms of episode evaluation, but has potential to become a like going forward. So, if that makes sense. So, let's get into it. Let's start with the things I liked. We're going to start with the Cena babyface turn in a second. But I want to give props to SmackDown's ring announcer, Mark Nash. When Cena came out, of course, fully leaning into it, one of the popular things that came out of the heel turn was the ring announcer. In most cases, it was Mark Nash, giving a separate announcement of Cena. But last night, it was beautiful. The babyface announcement, the fans ate it up. It's great. And then all I could think of today, at this moment, I even tweeted it out, all I could think of, the greatest of all time, the never seen 17. Oh, man. I'm telling you, never seen 17 is going to get cheered in every arena John Cena's in going forward. It's going to happen. Never seen 17. That blank flows. It flows. Love it. Love it. And you always wonder when you get a new voice in there, how they're going to do, what's it going to be like. Mark Nash, of course, with he's from Las Vegas, so he has an MMA ring announcing background, boxing ring announcing background, professionalism, just professional. And the inflection, everything just sounds, the never seen 17. It's fantastic. Those little things, the announcers, the ring announcers, they add to the act. If it didn't work, they wouldn't still do it. So I wanted to acknowledge Mark Nash to lead off because it's beautiful. Sometimes you think of what's the one thing you think of coming out of a show? And I'm like, I keep saying never seen 17. It's crazy. I don't know. Sometimes I think like that. All right, let's talk about John Cena's babyface turn. Last week, it made sense that there were questions about, wait a minute, you are you turned for 5 months, and then you show up to SmackDown, and you're a babyface. And we talked on the main show that if you really dive in and you really look back, there are layers and layers and layers that was set up. One layer in particular is important for a feud that's coming up with Cena. More on that in a second. But there's no question. I love this. That there is no question, no doubts. Fans want to see babyface John Cena close things out. These last 10 dates, 11 dates. Fans want to see babyface John Cena. And I would imagine in the past, typically you will run an angle, say, is he? Is he not? Does he really mean it? There's no swerve. 100% lean right in. All little details. And I didn't pick up on the detail from the SummerSlam match between him and Cody, Cena and Cody. When the match ended, John Cena told Cody in the ring, that's the best I can give you. So even little things, acknowledgement of, hey, you beat the best John Cena, is pretty cool. But he has some challengers coming up, which we'll talk about. You're not going to see Brock. I don't really have an issue with teasing Brock and then not having Brock as the first opponent. But we'll talk more about where Cena's going. But I thought John Cena had a great night. Cody had a great night. Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, all had a great night. And Cody has a challenger coming up with Drew McIntyre. So the Claymore, man, that, the announce table, craziness to end the show. So all in all, I thought Cena did a great job. There's one moment in the show that I enjoyed, but I didn't like. We'll talk more about that in a second. The one match I do want to acknowledge, the MFTs versus Motor City Machine Guns. I thought that was a pretty good match. I thought it was a great showcase. Of course, when you get Motor City Machine Guns in the ring, obviously they deliver. You know what it is with the tag team division. But finally, with the MFTs involved, and of course Solo. Solo's putting in unbelievable work on everything he's doing. He's putting in unbelievable work. So using him as a mouthpiece to get over Tala Tonga and JC Mateo, you're gonna have good things, and it kind of freshens up the SmackDown tag team division, which reached its apex, a SummerSlam, but you had the same teams pretty much going at it. So it felt like a fresh matchup. You got a lot out of it. A lot of good stuff there. Love what they delivered there. The match that followed, of course, was Sami Zayn, home country, that kind of situation. That it kind of gave a little house show feel, but it works. It's in front of a live crowd. Boom, you want to see Solo. That crowd wants to see Solo get beat. All right, cool, bet. All right. Things I didn't like. Actually, there's one that I wrote that I didn't write down, but I want to briefly mention since it's on the top of mind. No Jacob Fatu. So I truly don't know what the direction is going to be with Jacob. I don't know. Is he just beat up people but never picks up W's? I don't know. That's going to be a little iffy. So I just thought about that as we were talking about Solo, MFT, and all that stuff. So we'll kind of see. It seems like, while Braun Breaker's taking off and a couple other young guys are really going. I'm not saying Jacob Fatu is not taking off. I think Jacob Fatu is putting in great work, but he's not getting the necessary W's that a Braun Breaker's getting. But gonna hold out on that. All right. Let me set this up. So we're on things that I didn't like. I loved the moment between Cena and R-Truth backstage. I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was hilarious. And it kind of summed up everything. I love Cena giving the five, you changed in 5 months. I get that. And everybody, this is not a shot at the performers. Because performance-wise, it was a great segment backstage. I am more upset with the fact that Ron Killings you threw money in the toilet. Because Ron Killings could have been somebody who drew major money for you. As a heel. As a frustrated heel. Even as a mid-card babyface. Serious Ron Killings. He could have drew money for you. And he had like 2 spotlight matches in 3 weeks. When, obviously it was very clear that WWE and TKO wanted to, and they did. They released R-Truth, and then the fans, it was in the middle of a hot storyline. The fans stuck up for it. And you got a couple matches back in June, but then what, right? Then what? So now R-Truth is back to, what he's been doing. If R-Truth was released today, would anybody care anymore? So, wasted potential, not capitalizing beyond one SmackDown main event, not capitalizing on the direction of Ron Killings. And to me, that is a bigger disappointment than maybe, the Cena heel turn. 'Cause the Cena heel turn, at least it made sense. At least they explained themselves out of it. and that was the point I was going to make on the show that I just flat out forgot, was finally, it felt like The Rock's involvement and Cena's storyline post-Rock was like two different things. They finally tied it back in together. Don't get your hopes up. I'm not expecting Rock to come in and have a match or be involved in a storyline, even though he's severely needed to kind of close the book on the Cena turn. But anywho, to our truth, just a huge missed opportunity. And, they just blew it. This is one of those things, they just blew it. All right, I have two things technically I dislike right now, only because we're evaluating last night's episode, but it has potential. All right. I think anytime you announce that Logan Paul is going to be an opponent for a big match, you're like, oh, come on. But you know what's going to happen. Logan Paul's going to impress. Logan Paul is he's going to show out in the build to this match with Cena. And then going into Paris that Sunday afternoon, you're going to want Cena to kick Logan Paul's behind. So all the seeds are there. But it's the initial groan of, oh, come on. Because number one, he thought he was getting Brock Lesnar. So that was explained away. And then number two, and even more telling, it's clear now, to me, that this Cena run is not going to be used to put over any lick of young talent. This is going to be utilize Cena in big leverage situations against, part-timers and main roster guys. So I can't 100% hate on that because it is, as somebody once said, who might be running the company right now, best for business. But just a little it's a bit disappointing because we came into this year. If you took out Cena should turn heel. If you take that out, you just came into this year. Who do I want John Cena to face? You mentioned, you talk about the big names. Punk, Orton, Cody, a couple other guys. But there were other names, other young guys that you kind of hope, man, Cena can mix it in with some of those guys. And it's clear that it's not going to happen. So you do have that. All right, finally, Charlotte and Alexa. Yes, it's cringeworthy right now in terms of Charlotte's actions. But it's so... And as an evaluator, it is. But I have to remember a couple of things, and this is why I think this has potential. It is so blatantly obvious that Charlotte really hasn't changed at this moment. So how much will Alexa Bliss be able to take this in? Is Charlotte only changing just because they have the championships? You do have that. So this tells me and I don't like it for this episode because it's cringeworthy, but I get the big picture. I'm not hating on the big picture. I actually see the big picture. Is this a situation where you're still going to get your breakup angle between Alexa and Charlotte? What's going to happen whenever they drop the titles? Can you get Charlotte to change? Now, the good news is that, at least to this point, and again, Montreal last night, great wrestling crowd, very pro babyface-like crowd, so you do have that. And as we talked about with John Cena, this week is the first time in 20 years I have not heard Cena sucks chants. And I'm not exaggerating. 20 years. You got to go back to... that stuff started to pick up with Cena versus Kurt Angle on Monday Night Raw in fall of 2005. Even with Christian and Chris Jericho. Those feuds from 2005. That stuff started to pick up. But 20 years it finally stopped. But with Charlotte, I wonder how much further the envelope is going to be pushed. And how much can Alexa Bliss take? And how much the fans are going to be able to take. Will the live fans on Mondays and Friday nights, will they start to see through this a little bit? Will they start to reject Charlotte again? And then Charlotte's trying to be a good person, but it's iffy, right? It almost feels like Charlotte and John Cena are in opposite parallel feuds, story arcs. Cena was trying to act like a bad guy and and he had his reasons. He was trying to act like a bad guy. But Logan Paul showed what a real bad guy looks like, and all of a sudden, you're going to get the match. That's also the reason why, because I think a critical moment of the Cena heel turn, where he can't go all the way, was when he teamed with Logan Paul at Money in the Bank. Go back and watch that. But on the opposite spectrum, you got Charlotte, who's been a bad person, a heel pretty much for the vast majority of her career. She's trying to act like a good person, but what's the validity in it? Like, is she's truly a good person or not? We don't know. And will she ever make the turn to being a good person? Or is it just about the championship? And once she loses the championship, the real heel turn is going to happen, and you're going to get Alexa and Charlotte. So let's see. Let's see how much they can stretch this out. Because, again, they're supposed to break up and have a match at SummerSlam. But let's see how it goes. All right, we're done. Again, you guys enjoy your weekend. W Energy. So get something like this, and then 8 to 12 ounces. Get the W Energy packs, and you have good energy for the day. So you'll be all set and ready to go. W.GG, type in the promo code SHWP10. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.